Hey, I'm Dagny, and in this video, I want to share and discuss with you my experience and reflections on an event I recently participated in. So I was invited, which I'm so very grateful for, I was invited to moderate a panel discussion for a celebration on the legacy of Ata Aidoo. Now, the legacy of Ata Aidoo is very important. This is a profound Ghanaian writer whose work spans like 3 or 4 decades and covers, she's an author, a playwright, a poet, an educator. And her work spans a variety of topics, including human equality, feminism, African feminism, gender roles, and society at large. So, this was an intergenerational celebration. The panel of women who participated were all from different generations, and they all were sharing different reflections on how this author's legacy has influenced their lives and their work, and they each also shared some of their own work. So, in this video, there's like 2 things I want to discuss, all right? One, I want to discuss the event itself and how it went and how I feel due to being at the event, how I feel we can do even more for these types of events. And then the next thing I want to discuss is the connection to the bigger picture when it comes to the types of topics, as well as the types of responses that happened at the event, because I'm always thinking about the bigger picture and connecting those dots, and there was quite a lot of those happening at the event too that I want to share with you. First, for you to get a sense of the type of event this was and the type of gems that were dropped during the panel, I'm going to reenact for you the introduction of the panelists. There wasn't a recording, or there wasn't an official person recording the event, but we do have official photos. So what we're going to do is utilize our imagination with those photos and my voice. Yes? Okay, cool. Let's do it. First, let me put on my host, moderator, journalist, broadcast voice. Yes, indeed. Hold on. Let me pick it up. All right. You ready? All right, let's do this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? I hope you are fine. I said, I hope you're fine, oh. Good. You have now officially entered the intergenerational celebration of the legacy of the pioneer, the beacon of inspiration, and the standard of excellence, the one and only Ata Aidoo. I am Dagny, and I have the privilege of hosting this brilliant panel of women who, in a moment, will be sharing with you how Ata Aidoo's life and work has influenced and inspired their own lives and work. Tonight, you get to witness for the first time how Ata Aidoo's dynamic legacy is still very much alive through poetry, fiction, and life experiences within multiple generations. Now, I would like to introduce you to the women who are embodying this beautiful tribute. First, Ama Asantewa Diaka. She is a storyteller who is committed to community. She is the founder of Tampered Press, a literary and arts journal for Ghanaians and Africans, and Black Girls Glow, a feminist nonprofit that fosters collaboration among Black women creatives. She is the author of You Too Will Know Me. Her new book, Woman Eat Me Whole, was published 3 weeks ago and is a collection of poems exploring womanhood, the body, mental illness, and what it means to move between cultures. She also brought some copies for you, so you should definitely check her out after the event. Next, Professor Akachi Ezegbo. Professor Akachi is a multiple award-winning writer of more than 50 books and a professor of English who has taught in 3 universities in Nigeria. She has had research fellowships in the United Kingdom, South Africa, and Germany. She is a novelist, poet, short story writer, playwright, and children's author. In 2011, she was the chair of the panel of judges for the Nigeria Prize for Literature in the Children Literature category. In March of 2021, she was appointed chair of the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Literature and the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism, sponsored by Nigeria LNG, and awards every year $100,000. She is also currently participating in the AKO Caine Writers Workshop 2022. Next, Akua Sewa Amankwa. Akua is an academic, author, and creative entrepreneur. Her research interests revolve around digital African literature, photography, and photography criticism. Her stories have been published in The Mirror and Flash Fiction Ghana, as well as the Kenke Forevers and Resilience anthologies. She won the Inspire Us Writing Contest by World Reader in 2019 and the Imagining Early Accra competition in 2021. She was a participant of the Tampered Press Fiction Workshop 2021. She is currently participating in the AKO Caine Writers Workshop 2022. She anticipates a Master's of Philosophy degree in English Literature from the University of Ghana, Legon in 2022. And finally, Busy Ajapon. Busy is an author. Her book, The Teller of Secrets, is a Washington Post, Essence, Globe, and Mail Top 20 novel published in November 2021 by HarperCollins. Her second book, Daughter in Exile, will be published by HarperCollins in March of 2023. She has written for and been featured in various publications, including McSweeney's Quarterly, Washington Post, Miss Magazine, and Al Jazeera. She founded and ran the Young Shakespeare Company for 4 years in the USA and won the Civil Rights Award for Human Relations as an International Affairs Specialist for the U.S. Foreign Service. Please give another warm welcome for our panel of phenomenal women. And those were the amazing women who were on the panel, who then, after that, proceeded to share their reflections and excerpts of their own work, and really, they were just dropping so many beautiful gems throughout the discussion. And the common thread throughout what they shared was how Ata Aidoo's work and how she shows up for herself and her work has inspired each of those women to take up space, leave their mark, break the rules, or give themselves permission to break the rules, and overcome their perceived shyness to find their own voice. Overall, it was such a beautiful discussion, such a beautiful way to pay tribute to someone who thankfully is still alive and did see it streamed live. Ata Aidoo, she did Zoom in on Zoom during the event. And even though there was some glitches with the network, we could see from our end that she really was touched by such a tribute and by the stories that the women shared. Now, in terms of how we can continue doing events like this, I feel, yes, it is very important to give flowers to people while they're still here, to give credit, to pay tribute, to acknowledge the work and the life and the brilliance of people while they're still here. I felt that when it comes to logistics in doing that, I feel like the person you're honoring, it depends on the person you're honoring. So in this case, I think having a proper recording of the event is a good thing to have, not only for potential audience, as in people who could not come, or people who didn't connect to a live stream if there was one, but also for the person you're honoring. I think that would have been a really beautiful gift to them, that whenever they feel like it, they can click on that video and listen to and watch people paying tribute to them. I think that would be touching for the person. When it comes to technology, I think we're definitely capable of doing Zoom calls or video calls here that are crisp and clear. In 2020, we had TEDx Accra here, and it was majority completely virtual, and there was no lag or glitching or anything. Now, granted, I'm not sure how they did that, because they did that here in Accra, but we're capable of it. but it does require like preparing for it before the day of the event. It does require like making sure the other person truly has a network they can do it on, or providing them with a proper Wi-Fi connection, making sure where you're at the venue has proper connection and network as well. So like, it's all good, And when you do that, I think when it comes to the video that everyone's going to see, or the stream everyone's going to see, it makes sense to either have them on a better screen or incorporate them within the panel on screen, something like that. Like there should have been, with that, I feel that there needs to be like more cameras, there needs to be more angles, there needs to be better lighting. They're just like, because you're kind of, when you kind of need this to be like a full film production in order to do that, right? So that means like that takes preparation as well, which not only is a great gift for the person you're honoring, but it also can be part of your, like those who organize it, that's what you utilize to continue pushing the need to do these events and pushing to get whatever you need to get for them, whether it's tickets or endorsements or PR or whatever. Like that video conveys a lot more than photos, I think, because I think a lot of, just like how I reenacted this for you, the photos give you a little bit of, oh, well, these were the faces of the people who were there. But the video would have helped you even more to get a sense of the vibe, to get a sense of the magnitude of this tribute, to get a sense of if the audience was feeling it or not, and that sort of thing. So I know it takes a lot to prepare for that, but it is worth it. Next, the topics that were discussed during the panel, and the type of responses it got. Okay. I observed, noted the differences of perspective or exposure or experience of the people in the room. And because the audience had all genders, yeah? And it got me thinking about this concept of progress. Ata Aidoo's work, a lot of it does speak about gender roles and African feminism, which doesn't only focus on women, but carries this message of we all need to take care of each other, regardless of gender and age, in order for all of us to win. And if certain demographics are left out of that, none of us are winning. And how each of the women on the panel took note of this in their own lives. It got me thinking of the concept of progress, because if this is a topic Ata Aidoo has been talking about for decades, and we're talking about it again now, are we talking about the same thing? As in, has anything changed since her first writing, her first class, compared to now? And what really stirred up that question was, of course, we had like a Q&A session, and one person asked the question, what do you suggest African men do? after listening to all the reflections and everything. And again, because I'm on stage, I can see the audience reaction to everything. So when that question was asked, I could see some people were just listening while others had a complete reaction to that. And Ata Aidoo's answer was, just respect women. That was the response. And then someone else in the audience also responded saying, the answer to that question is in her work, like Ata Aidoo's work. If you read it or listen to it, she's kind of been giving that answer for her entire career. Then, shortly after that was the conclusion of the event. So then someone else had the mic now and piggybacked off of this word of respect. And the reason, let me, before I go any further, let me state that the reason why I'm relaying this to you is connected to this bigger picture that I'm reflecting on with you of how are we measuring this progress, and are we focused on the right thing? So it's not to single out anyone or bash anyone or indict anyone. We ain't throwing shade. Okay. It's just, I need to relay this to you so you get an understanding of why these dots started to connect in my mind. So this other person who now has the mic, who is concluding the event, they piggyback off the word respect, because that's what was just said, and say something along the lines of, yes, we should respect women, but... And you see, even before they continue, the fact that the word but was there, my soul already knew to hold me back from just reacting immediately, because I kind of already now got the sense of the direction this person was going in. Unfortunate. The direction this person was going in with their response to concluding the event. Now, they said that something along the lines of, yes, women need to be respected, but women should, accept the respect when it's given. And they could have just stopped there, but they continued talking and said something along the lines of, they are very concerned because what they see on TV and entertainment in the name of creativity is very concerning, because if women are women of God, they need to respect themselves before anybody can respect them. And when I tell you, the energy in the room, the audience, there was a portion of the audience who again kept their poker face. There was another portion of the audience who was completely ew. Their whole vibe, the facial expression, the body language was completely ew. And for me, personally, I felt that little interaction that occurred at the end with a microphone just, to me, illustrated how this so-called progress, is it real or an illusion? Because the topics that were stated or noted in this panel were similar things stated on the similar type of panel 10 years ago, and 10 years before that, and 10 years before that. If that's the case, because I just take note of we've been kind of we've been kind of discussing the exact same thing when it comes to this topic. We've been kind of expressing the exact same concerns or issues or needs for a while now. So if that's been repeated over and over again for decades, are we missing something? What are we missing? Because then you got to think of, okay, so what are we measuring, or what are we looking at to be progress? If you look at, okay, if it was women, is women speaking. So technically 50 years ago, okay, so then like 100 years ago, those women might possibly be saying the same thing, but they were in a different economic status. Their rights were different. And again, now we're talking about like the entire world in general, instead of like villages or tribes or certain countries. And then when you fast forward a few decades, the same panel is happening, the same topics and the same needs and same concerns are expressed, but this time said panel of women are now allowed to work, or now they are allowed to work, or now they're allowed to be outside of the house. Okay, and then you fast forward a few more decades and the same panel of the same discussion with the same concerns and the same issues is again happening, but this time the women own the business they're working at, or they own the school, or they own the building or the venue that we're having the panel in. Okay. But so then it's like this discussion is doing, if the panel, if the topic discussion is doing this, but then the people are doing that, like, is that really progress? And then if technically we're speaking on gender roles, and yes, I'm speaking of men and women, if you don't identify as either of those, I'm really not like intentionally trying to exclude you. It's more like how society treats women and people who identify as women, and how society treats men and people who identify as men. So with men, if 100 years ago we're having this discussion and they are the one running everything, and then you fast forward some decades, they are the one running everything. Fast forward some more decades, they are the one running everything. Like, so you fast forward all of that, and like, so are men doing so are men doing this? Are men doing this? Are men doing this? Like which, do you see, like, I'm trying to, like, it makes me wonder then where's the glitch? Because obviously stating the same concerns over and over again, or stating the same topic over and over again, writing it differently, illustrating it differently, and you still get the question, so what do you want us to do? What would you say we should do? Are we missing something? Are we like focusing on the wrong thing? Are we like, what's the issue? Like, what's the issue? Because for me, that interaction at the event, to me, it made it feel like we just had this really beautiful moment, expressing and sharing and celebrating, and immediately afterwards, someone has to make a claim. Immediately afterwards, it's made to feel like, yeah, that's cute, but let's also remind you of your place. And I just felt like that's so disappointing or disheartening, because then that means like y'all are not listening. Like, wait, did we completely miss the point of this event? Like, what? We missed the point of this celebration? I don't understand, like, why is there even any space for that during this celebration? It's like a complete oxymoron. It doesn't fit. Then what's the point of the talking? What's the point of dedicating your entire career to this work, to try and teach people to understand what they need to do, And is it just not hitting the target? Is it not getting where it needs to get to? Now, granted, just because that was brought up at the event doesn't mean every other single person at the event believed or felt the way that final interaction was. We cannot gauge how evolved anybody is, really. It feels like we're looping then in that regard. If spending the time to celebrate and establish that, yeah, respect is deserved, gets the response of, well, actually, you don't deserve it because you're not behaving the way I want you to behave. Then what have we been doing all this time? Like, what is the point then of all the talking and the writing and the illustrating and the workshopping and the masterclassing? What's the point? If we're still clinging on to, no, but I need you to behave the way I want you to behave. And bringing it back, because of course, yes, the event was in Accra, so some responses to that, well, this is Ghana. That's just how men are. That's just how women are. That's just how old people are. That's just how young people are. That's just how people with 5 toes are. Why is our automatic reaction to such behavior there's always an excuse for it. We should always excuse and tolerate disrespect, excuse and tolerate being dismissed, excuse and tolerate ignorance. Why? It doesn't, I'm having difficulty understanding the disconnect of the fact, and it's not about pulling heartstrings. It's not about because I don't feel okay. It's not about that, because we get it. Pulling heartstrings doesn't change anything. But your money, the bottom line of your money is directly affected by excluding certain demographics, oppressing certain demographics, stifling certain demographics. We can't win if the person sitting next to us is bleeding. We can't win if the person sitting next to us is silenced. We can't win if the person sitting next to us is dismissed. We can't continue like this. So why are we choosing to? That you can't even have a small celebration for someone without insisting that you need to know your place, without insisting that we need to kind of semi-belittle, semi-dilute, not really do it the way it could be because it's this. And I don't know what the because is, because it's a woman, because it's women talking, because it's triggering you in some way. I don't get it. I don't get it. So what I would love for folks to carry and take away from this particular event is to really remember the gems that were shared. I'm going to share with you right now what those gems are. The first one was shared through poetry and reflections by Ama. Take up space. Give yourself permission to take up all of the space, which enables you to next, which was shared by Professor Akachi, who shared her experience of almost going to almost every event she could find where Ata Aidoo is speaking or teaching or something. Leave your mark. Leave your mark in concrete, not in sand that dusts away, but in serious concrete, because you have something special that is needed. So that wherever you go or whatever you place, it's That mark is so long-lasting, which was illustrated by this panel, that people from multiple generations will find it and feel it and embody it and go forth and prosper with it or thanks to it. Next, which was shared by Aquia when it comes to fiction. Break all the rules. Give yourself permission to break all of the rules, because none of the rules were made for you. None of the rules were made for your benefit. So break all of the rules, let them choke, let them be mad, break them. Because to be honest, the majority of the time they are suffocating you. When you do these things, all of these things enable you to show up for yourself. This is transforming, healing, evolving. And what's important about this is that there are so many people, but in particular, so many children who need to see you show up as yourself so that you can also, which is what Busy shared, you can inspire a child to release their shyness, release their self-doubt, and step into their own spotlight to discover for themselves how to take up space, leave their mark, and break all the rules. That is, in a nutshell, those are the gems that this brilliant panel shared at the event. And I hope that you, those of you who actually attended the event, and you who are watching, or you who are watching, we discussing now, I hope with these gems you feel appreciated. I hope you feel valued. I hope you feel loved. You deserve respect, not the illusion of respectability, which is based on mediocrity, insecurity, and hypocrisy. Don't ever get that twisted. And when I say you, I do mean all of us. This is not focused on a particular, yes, sure, the topic is women speaking, but all genders need to win for all of us to win. So it's not a deal of who suffers more, men or women, who should deserve respect more, men or women. It's not that. It's much bigger than that, actually. And I hope that we can shift out of this looping, maybe by embodying these gems individually. We can collectively shift out of the looping and truly make the progress that we deserve, instead of clinging to this illusion that, well, since we're allowed to speak and discuss and write, that's enough. But obviously it's not. If people are still triggered or feel uncomfortable with the idea of people being respected for who they are, regardless if you agree with who they've chosen to be. Overall, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to participate and moderate the panel. It was a really special moment, and I'm so grateful that I got to see it or experience it in real time. What are your thoughts on this topic? Either just events in general or this bigger picture that I'm also trying to think through. Let me know in the comments so we can continue the discussion. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe. I'll see you next time.